Hi, everybody. Today we're talking about frogs. My name is Tracy Hall, and I'm an educator and naturalist for the Audubon Society of Rhode Island. This is a book that I often go into schools and read about frogs, and you can kind of help me out at home with the story. You're going to actually say, "Jump, frog, jump," at very important times in the story. So sit back, relax, and enjoy Jump, Frog, Jump by Robert Kalan. This is the frog that was under the fly that climbed out of the water. How did the frog catch that fly? Ready, everybody? Jump, frog, jump! This is the fish that swam after the frog that was under the fly that climbed out of the water. How did the frog get away from that fish? You know what to say. Jump, frog, jump! This is the snake that dropped from a branch and swallowed the fish that swam after the frog that was under the fly that climbed out of the water. How did the frog get away? You know what to say. Jump, frog, jump! Oops. Ooh, good thing. This is the turtle that slid into the pond and ate the snake that dropped from a branch and swallowed the fish that swam after the frog that was under the fly that climbed out of the water. How did the frog get away? I hear you saying it at home. Good job. Jump, frog, jump! Ooh, what's coming up next? You see something in the corner there? This is the net that wrapped around the turtle that slid into the pond and ate the snake that dropped from a branch and swallowed the fish that swam after the frog that was under the fly that climbed out of the water. How did the frog get away? What's that? I can't hear you. That's better. Jump, frog, jump! Ooh, who are these people? We'll find out. These are the kids who picked up the net that wrapped around the turtle, that slid into the pond and ate the snake, that dropped from a branch and swallowed the fish, that swam after the frog, that was under the fly, that climbed out of the water. How did that frog get away? Jump, frog, jump! Whoa! This is the basket put over the frog by the kids who picked up the net that wrapped around the turtle, that slid into the pond and ate the snake, that dropped from a branch and swallowed the fish, that swam after the frog, that was under the fly, that climbed out of the water. How did the frog get away? You got it. Or did it? Jump, frog, jump. Shh. Now it did. Jump, frog, jump. And this young man did the right thing and he let that frog go back into the water. And that's the story. Typical day in a frog's life. Pretty exciting, huh? Now, we have frogs all around us. I bet you've been hearing them too. Maybe you've heard this sound or something like it. It's kind of like that. It goes peep, peep, peep. It's spring peepers. They're tree frogs. They're one of the first signs of spring, which is why they're called a spring peeper. And you can hear them a lot of times at night or early in the morning. And it's the males, the boys, calling for a female. And if you have the right voice, if you sound the best, then that female is going to be attracted to you. She's going to pick you. And let that be a lesson. Practice your singing. It works. So a gray tree frog is another tree frog that we have around here. And they sound more like this. They'll be coming out soon and calling. The first frogs to come out are the peepers, and even slightly before them are these frogs called wood frogs. Wood frogs like to live in the woods most of the year, except for this time of year. They go to spring ponds that fill up after the winter. We call them vernal pools. That's their best habitat to lay eggs because there's no fish living in there. So let's hear what they sound like. They kind of sound like a different animal altogether. What does that sound like? I'll play it again. Does that sound like a quacking sound? Like a duck? Well, that's the sound they make. And they do that by the male pushes out his big flappy vocal sac, this flap of skin in his throat area. He pushes air out, and as he pushes back in, it makes the sound that he wants. And you could try that with a balloon. Blow up a balloon and then slowly let the air out and see what kind of sounds you can make. Maybe change the shape of the opening of the balloon, and you'll hear different sounds that come out. And that's how frogs are able to make those sounds. But it's the boys, the males, that do the singing to attract a female. Wood frogs and peepers are what we're hearing mostly right now. After they do most of their singing, and once they've mated and laid eggs, you won't hear them as much, but you'll hear this amphibian, maybe not. Oh, just wait. That's the trill of the American toad, and you'll hear the American toad pretty soon singing at night. The frogs that sing later towards the summer are the green frog, which sounds like a banjo. I can do it. I don't need this. I can do that. That's what they sound like. Or, let's see if it'll do the bullfrog. The bullfrog. Rum, rum, rum. You'll hear that sound a little bit later in the spring and in the summer. Now, just to go over these frogs again, I have a nice poster here, and you can see what they look like. These are the amphibians. The amphibians is the grouping, we call it the class of animals that frogs and salamanders and toads are under. That's the grouping they're in. And we have bullfrogs, we have Fowler's toads, we have spring peepers, we have eastern spadefoot toad, and it actually has a little shovel-like on its back leg, flap of skin. Leopard frogs, green frogs, pickerel frogs, the wood frog that we talked about, and of course all these different salamanders, and not to forget the American toad, which is somewhere. I don't know why. Oh, there it is. American toad. And all these different salamanders. One of the most common salamander you can find is the redback salamander. Sometimes they're called leadback salamanders, and they're missing that red stripe. It's just a variation. It's just a slight difference in color, but it's the same species. It's the same kind of salamander. One of the favorites that is very hard to find because they dig down deep and they pretty much just stay in the ground. It's called a mole salamander, a spotted salamander. So these are some of the more common amphibians you can look for out in the ponds and in the trails, and I hope you do. Thanks for joining me. Take care. Be well.